Morning. This room is a mess. In the last week, I've made my first television commercial, aired my first television commercial, and then made another commercial that I can't show you or even really talk about. And I'm also curating the city calendar, so that's fun. And I want to tell you a little bit about the mistakes I've made along the way, the juicy, about my first television commercial. Looks like this.
If you want to play like a champion.
Hold it. Before we get into that, you probably need a little bit more context about what's going on here. There's a lot of layers to this commercial that I need to explain before I can talk to you about the mistakes I made. The first layer is that this is a hockey town. I live at the very top of the continental United States. I live in Grand Forks, North Dakota, and hockey here is huge. So much so that one of our former UND hockey players who went on to become a pro is now the mayor of Grand Forks. His name is Brandon Bochenski, this guy. Now, in addition to that, we also have a local coffee chain called Bully Brew. Okay. And then with all of that in mind, we also have a university, the University of North Dakota, which is a hockey powerhouse, in my estimation. The University of North Dakota hockey team partnered with Bully Brew to create a branded coffee called Champions Blend.
If you want to play like a champion, start your day like a champion.
So I came outside on this really cloudy day. Look at this. Just to talk about the first problem. The first problem with this footage is S-Log2. Now, S-Log2, there we go. S-Log2 is probably a really good picture profile, but I've had a couple of consistent problems with it that probably speak more to my limitations as a filmmaker than the problem with the profile. The first thing was I'd get these weird artifacts whenever I would be using S-Log2, and I would try to bring my saturation back. You can see it in some of this footage here. Just little grain, little sharpness, and that detracts from the overall smoothness and beauty of the image. Also, I think S-Log2 is a little hard to expose, if I'm being honest with you. And when I was working inside the ice rink, it was pretty darn hard to actually, consistently get a good exposure on S-Log2, especially when I'm trying to expose for my subject, the mayor, and also trying to expose for, check out this guy. That's a motorized bike pulling a wagon, that's what they're called, with like a cord or something, very weird. At any rate, the second problem is actually why I'm filming this way right now. And that is I decided to get a gimbal for the production, and I got the Ronin SC. I didn't bother to learn how to use the gimbal until the day of production. It was one of those things that I was really intimidated by. And I don't know about you, but sometimes when I have a project that I have to do well, it gives me less motivation to actually do it well, or I get scared that I'm not going to be able to live up to my own expectations about the project, and then I get stuck.
The third problem with my commercial only really kind of came to me as I was watching it on TV. The commercial's not very funny. One thing about locally produced commercials I've noticed is that they either are unintentionally hilarious just because the production value is but then they also like the ones that are a little bit higher produced either tend to go for like the feels, or they try to be like super epic. Like a lot of the local car dealers have like some poorly composed drone shots in their video, if I'm being totally honest.
Now I show them Daddy.
Oh, you're looking at the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Daddy's on the screen.
Yes.
Okay, well, you look at the screen and tell me if I'm there, okay? My commercial didn't stand out from the others when it was in the commercial churn during this game where it premiered, just because it wasn't funny. And if you think about the really like great commercials over time, I'm thinking of like the Real Men of Genius Bud Light commercial, thinking about pretty much every Super Bowl commercial ever that really hit home. They were like funny. So something to work on the next time, to say the least.
The third problem I had was my blue key. Now, if you don't know what a blue key is, basically when you're making a movie with a green screen or a blue screen, you have to be able to tell your editing software, hey, this color, blue, get rid of it. One of the most important scenes, or one of the most important elements of my video was in fact having the coffee beans flying out of the bag after they've been hit by Mayor Bochensky. This presented a problem though. You see, when you throw coffee beans up into the air in front of a blue screen, you can have that blue screen illuminated pretty well, and you can have the beans lit pretty well. But you're gonna run into issues with motion blur, especially with S-Log2, I've found. You're gonna get a mixture of the blue and the bean when you're trying to pull your key. And that means that this nice, buttery smooth video of the beans flying into the air was basically impossible for me to achieve. I don't want you to think I'm just down on myself exclusively about this this video or this project, this advertisement. I had a pretty good plan going in, and I think my planning was actually probably one of my assets. You see, I had a full storyboard going in, so I knew every single shot I needed to get, and I got it. Additionally, if the mayor's schedule had changed, I had a plan to use the owner in the video and basically fake the motion. I had ice crampons that I was wearing that she would wear instead, so I could get her to go somewhere to move on the ice and basically achieve something that looked like skating through some clever editing. Also, we weren't able to use the Ralph Engelstad Arena, which is the big, several thousand seating capacity hockey arena in town. I had a plan to fake it at a smaller practice rink. But that said, the fifth problem or mistake I made was just that a lot of this shoot was out of my control. The rink was booked by my client, and I never actually personally got in touch with the mayor. I don't know if that's a mistake so much that the client handled a lot of the details and I was just there to film stuff, but I will say it did make for an interesting feel, going to the set wondering, are we gonna be able to get in? Is the mayor gonna show up, etc. And anyway, it all turned out well in the end. But there are things I would do differently if I were to do it again. Maybe I will. Sandy, if you're watching. Bye.
If you want to play like a champion, start your day like a champion. Support the University of North Dakota with every single purchase of a bag of freshly roasted Champions Blend coffee beans, available at any Bully Brew Coffee House or at bullybrewcoffeehouse.com.